Welcome back to page 2. This is David Van with Sooner Politics. Next, we're going to talk about Governor Stitt's vision. Governor Kevin Stitt held his State of the State address before a joint session of the Oklahoma legislature this week. We were all pretty excited about it because we don't know what we're getting with Mr. Stitt. This is his first time running for elective office. He decided to jump for the top, running for governor. Let's see what he's got. Well, Governor Stitt scared a lot of fiscal conservatives in the run-up to the State of the State address because he's told some people in the media that he'd take a look at the Medicaid expansion proposal. And that concerns a lot of us who really want to form a government that is operated on solid and consistent funding. Because you just don't mess with people's important issues like health care, only to have them grovel from year to year, not knowing whether or not they're even going to have something in place. People want stability. Well, Governor Stitt clearly said, folks, we don't know what the federal government's going to do with health care. We don't know what kind of formula they're going to offer the states. And even though right now, under the Obamacare legislation, they are offering to pay most of the cost of Medicaid expansion. By the term Medicaid expansion, what we mean is Oklahoma right now will cover health care for you if you make basically less than $300 a month. It's that bad for just an individual. That's a single adult. $300 a month. $350 and you're on your own. They want to, the Obamacare proposal said, you know, if a person makes up to $1,000 a month, then the Medicaid expansion terms say, we'll provide health care for them. Now, Oklahoma has our own program, and it's called Insure Oklahoma. And the federal government basically about killed it. Governor Fallin had to make a deal to try to keep some of it going because it did rely on some Medicaid funding. So that was the first issue, is Governor Stitt had to say, you know what, I am not going to build a program on unstable funding sources. And for that, I want to commend him. Governor Stitt really had a pretty good message. It was real good, touched on several things. Personally, I was a little disappointed on the things I didn't hear. And then there was one thing I did hear that bothered me right at the end. Governor Stitt wants to go after business expansion, get corporations to relocate in Oklahoma. Have we been down this road before? Yes, we have. The kind of people, the kind of companies, the kind of corporations you get usually in situations like this are the corporations who will play one state against another. They'll take all the freebies and handouts they can get, and once they're gone, they'll move on to the next state. The governor called for more money into what was called the Governor's Closing Fund. Governor's Closing Fund means let's take some of our hardworking Oklahoma citizens' tax dollars and put it in little kitties so we can help sweeten the deal to get big corporations to move here. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, I tell you what, next time you get your paycheck, why don't you just pull out some of the money, cash out of the bank, and go knock on your neighbor's door and say, hi, I just got paid. Do any of you need money? How many of you would do that? Of course not. But somehow we would let our legislature and our governor do that? Does that make sense? How many of you would say next time you're down at the store to the clerk, you sure that's enough? Why don't I go ahead and pay you some extra money for your corporation just to be sure you stay in business? Do you do that? Of course not. But this governor's closing fund essentially is a form of crony capitalism where we sweeten the deal for the big corporations, and then we pat ourselves on the back. Look what we did for the economy of Oklahoma. Meanwhile, you took money out of the mouths of kids who need better nutrition. You took money out of the schools that need better teachers, better pay, better curriculums, better facilities. You took money off of the roads and you made Oklahoma drive on potholes so you could give it to a corporation. Does that make sense? No. Governor Stitt, I give you an A- on your State of the State address. You had me going there. You had a straight A until you threw in that closing fund thing. You know, last summer I was down at the Capitol and I happened to have some extra time, so I was over talking to the Democrat House Minority Leader, Steve Copeland. And I just said, look, you might call me Tea Party Republican. And he said, Dave, the Tea Party, when it first started, it was just as much Democrat as it was Republican. I looked at him as a Democrat and I said, really? Tell me more. He said, oh yeah, Dave. He said, this isn't so much an issue of left versus right. The Tea Party was more the little guy versus the big guy. He said, the Tea Party revolt was all about government bailouts for corporations deemed too big to fail. Meanwhile, the mom and pop's business got screwed, got no bailout. And I looked at him and I said, sir, you are the first person in this building I've talked to who gets it. And you're a Democrat. Well, that ought to tell you folks something about where the people of Oklahoma are. We're not so much about left versus right. We're more about the big guy versus the little guy. And quite often, all the parties forget the little guy because we don't fund their campaigns for re-election. That's really what it's about. And now we'll be back with page 3.